The governor and the FBI, that's what they told me. The governor and the FBI said they want this done by Monday, and we need to get it done. We're not asking questions. We're not talking to the media. And so I said, okay. So I just...
Yeah, that is a dumbass move. And again, he kind of highlights that here. But, no one can really point out the insanity of this. The governor and the FBI said we need it done ASAP. We need it done ASAP. No one can point out the insanity of this all better than this man right here.
Now, you don't do that unless you're covering something up. Hurry up and dig this out and get all this. No one, get rid of the crime scene right now. Hurry, dig it out right now.
Nothing really was more clear that there was a major cover-up ongoing with the Charlie Kirk tragedy than when 2 days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, what ends up happening? They go into the crime scene and they dig out all the dirt and they pave over it with concrete. They literally pave over the entire crime scene with concrete. Now, that was one of the first things that people looked at and said, that's a bit unsettling. That raises some red flags. I have some questions about that, right? That was one of the first things. Obviously, now we have tons more information that we can look at. And in our next live stream, we're going to be looking at some more of the information because I wanted to put together a more robust story for you about Tyler Robinson breaking down the insanity of this Discord message admission thing, right? Because there's just so many glaringly obvious holes in the story from the very start of the admission of guilt that we now see compounded by just factual errors as to when these messages were even supposedly sent, right? But the cementing of the crime scene was insane to me. It was insane to me, especially if you, from the get-go, you're an investigator or whatever, and you're being told that a 30-06 round was responsible for killing Charlie Kirk and it got lodged in his neck somehow. I mean, maybe you would think in that moment it might be wise to do, a second over glance of the crime scene. Maybe we should like dig a little bit. Maybe we should actually identify whether or not there were any other rounds, any other explosives. I don't know. I'm not a forensics expert, but if it was me, I'd say, let's look a little bit closer because this story is not adding up, right? So anyways, that was pretty insane to me at the time. But it's even more insane now because a YouTuber by the name of Jimmy Rex, this is him right here, he just interviewed, and by the way, you can go check out his channel. It seems like he could use some support. It's a very interesting show he's doing here. He interviewed the man who was hired to pave over Charlie Kirk's death scene. And what he had to say was shocking to say the least. Take a listen.
Fast forward, I'm at home with my family, and I get a call, and I don't answer my phones on Sunday. They left a message, and the gentleman said, hey, this is kind of weird, and he was kind of hemming and hawing on the phone.
This was 5 days later then?
Yes,
you said it was on Sunday? Okay.
Yeah, on Sunday. And he says, we've got a paper emergency. Like, the hell?
When the hell's a paper emergency?
Exactly, right? I'm thinking, this guy's, what the hell? So anyways, I wasn't going to even respond because I don't typically do that, but I'm like, paper emergency. Part of my MO is I like to be useful, where I can be help, So I texted the guy. I said, look, I don't work on Sundays. My guys don't work on Sundays. I'm happy to call you on Monday. What's a paper emergency? So he sends me pictures of right where Charlie was murdered. And he says, we need to put papers in this place. So I called him, and the guy seemed like a genuine good dude. He says, look, we don't have a whole lot of answers. We're told by, people above us that we've got to put pavers in, today and tomorrow. It needs to be in.
Red flags initially go off there. We're told by people above us. It's just like weird verbiage, right? Okay. Not like reason for a whole lot of concern, right? I'm sure they're just like construction people. They're like people that make little Japanese gardens out of cement. Like there's plenty of people above you. That is reasonable sort of speech if you're in that sort of a position, working class, blue collar, okay. But he adds a little bit more context.
And by Monday. And we've never done pavers, we've never installed them, and we want to make sure we do it right. And he says, would you come help? I said, 100%. So I went and got my shit. I got my trailer. I started calling my guys, and none of my guys answered. And so I started calling my other guys, my brothers. And then I called another, so I put together this ragtag team, of guys that we showed up on that Sunday, within an hour and a half of when they called us with our trailer. And we met with a couple of dudes. I was telling you there wasn't a whole lot of information. There was two guys that were kind of in charge.
So by this point, it's all dug up and everything.
Everything.
What did it look like?
I've got pictures, I could give you pictures of exactly when I showed up. I took pictures of what it looked like. They had taken out about 10 inches of the dirt around the whole place, right? Right now you can see where the pavers are. Everything under that, probably 10 inches had been excavated.
Why do you think they excavated so much dirt? Do you think that they were trying to make sure they got any bullet fragments or anything that was in there?
I wasn't looking at it with that lens, dude.
Really?
I wasn't.
It didn't even cross your mind?
It didn't cross my mind. Here's the thing. You were saying stuff on social media. Everybody's saying stuff on social media. And quite frankly, I had been, I got so disheartened with social media because they just spin everything and they talk shit and fear mongering and hate sells. And I didn't want to see it. I knew there was videos out there. Right when I pulled into town when it happened, I Googled it and I saw the video from afar, right, of Charlie getting shot. And I thought, man, I don't want to see that shit. This guy got shot. You see it, he's probably dead or dying, right? I don't want to see somebody murdered, especially a good man, a father and husband. So I hadn't been on social media. I had stayed away from it. My wife had been on it, and she was a wreck, bro. She was just, all that ugliness was just. So when I got the call, I thought, you better fucking believe it. I'm going to go help. That was all it was, is I'm going to go help these guys. He's asking for help. They want to do it right. He framed it in the sense that, hey, we want this to be done right. So
I'm going to be honest. Like, I listened to this full conversation, and he does just seem like an innocent guy that kind of got wrapped into this and is now suffering a ton of hate and negative blowback. He does seem like he was just kind of like some random guy that they picked to do this, right?
that's why I showed up. So, I mean, to do pavers correctly, you over excavate, you get rid of the topsoil.
Oh, you do?
You do, 100%. Okay. You want to get a good base. And these guys had kind of, you know, there was two guys in charge and a ragtag crew. One of the guys was in charge of a state-owned facility.
Someone says he's a dumbass. Well, I think he actually probably agrees with you. So just keep listening.
In American Fork, and the other guy was a maintenance groundskeeper on a facility in Provo. And these are the two guys I'm corresponding with. The first guy, you know, the second guy that I hadn't talked to on the phone basically said, hey, look, we're not talking to anybody. We're not saying anything to the media. He says this is above our pay grade. The FBI and the state, the governor and the FBI, that's what they told me. The governor and the FBI said they want this done by Monday. And we need to get it done. We're not asking questions. We're not talking to the media. And so I said, okay. So I just...
Yeah, that is a dumbass move. And again, he kind of highlights that here. But, you know, no one can really point out the insanity of this. The governor and the FBI said we need it done ASAP. We need it done ASAP. No one can point out the insanity of this all better than this man right here.
They came in and dug down into the ground several feet of concrete in the middle of the university and scooped it all out and re-poured concrete. Now, you don't do that unless you're covering something up. Hurry up and dig this out and get all this. No one, get rid of the crime scene right now. Hurry, dig it out right now.
I saw that clip. I started laughing the first time. It's funny the second time. It's true, though. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? The FBI and the governor of the entire state are demanding that you concrete something over within 24, 48 hours. Well, I think it was like 5 days after or something, right? Or 2 days after. 48 hours? Why? Why is the governor involved in this? Isn't this like an issue for Parks and Recreation of whatever Provo, Utah, whatever city it's in? Isn't that like a local, you know, a local city government level sort of job? Like the local engineer, and why are they cementing over it? That's the question I still have. Why not just grass? Why they got to cement over it to hide any possibility of anyone digging something up, right? Oh boy.
That's kind of my MO is, I've been in so many car wrecks and I got rolled over when I was 17 and there was 3 girls in the car. I broke my back in 3 places, got a traumatic brain injury, but I didn't have my seatbelt on. I wrecked. We rolled down the freeway. We landed on the wheels and I got out and said, all the girls were screaming. I said, who's hurt? How do I go up? And basically until dark. And then we came back the next morning and started getting it installed.
Was there anything that happened afterwards? Like any weirdness? Did you start getting people calling you or texting you trying to get more 100%. Of the story? Like what happened then?
Well, no, not, I think there was, the thing that felt fishy to me was after it happened, and I saw, at that point, a few people had kind of accused me of being part of the cover-up. And I thought, so I started watching the videos. I started getting on Facebook and I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I was, fuck's sake. Yeah, and I really started questioning, like I had this weird thing going on. And
do you think it was weird that they immediately decided to excavate and pull up a murder scene of like such an important murder that's completely doesn't make any sense with the official narrative? Don't you think that's super weird that they would immediately try to excavate all that and pull it up instead of making it a crime scene?
So here's what a lot of people don't realize is very public crime scenes don't last as a crime scene very long. They just don't. Typically,
what I'd say here is like the question that was being asked of him was a crime scene that doesn't add up. Like, why is that being paved over? And that's the real problem here, is that we don't have the answers to the questions that are being asked. So why would you pave over it? Why would you cement over it? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to think of the proper analogy here, but it's just stupid. It's like knowing that your entire life depends on getting an A on a test, and then you say, oh, I'm not going to go to any of the classes for this course for the entire year because I feel like I already have the answers, and then you flunk the test at the end and then you die or something. It's like there really is no analogy for how stupid this whole thing is. There are no answers to the questions that are being asked about Charlie Kirk. I mean, there are. We know what they are. Generally speaking, we can at least point to the fact that the answers being given to us are not adding up in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, he's giving this example here of like, well, if there's a public crime scene and there's a car accident, yeah, they clean it up really quick. They take photos, videos, whatever, and then they clean it up. They take their details, clean it up. They don't let public crime scenes rest for too long. I understand that. That's totally understandable. But in a normal car crash, as long as it's not like, Princess Diana or what? Seth Rich. Wasn't Seth Rich a car wreck or something? They hit him while he was walking or something. It's like, okay, if it's not some example like that, then a normal car crash is just an accident. And you document what happened and then boom, you move on. Hopefully there's some security camera footage from a nearby store. There's like cameras on the lights that captured the crash and you can take that to court. But we're talking about a political assassination, which has no answers. The answers being given do not add up. And they paved over the only possible avenue we had of maybe digging a little bit deeper, quite literally, and securing some real answers.
Typically speaking, they come in, they take all their evidence, they wash it down with a fire truck so that people aren't coming and looking at all the blood and the gore. That's fairly typical. I don't know. That's what I know. So at this point, that happened Tuesday. We're Sunday, so Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, till Sunday's a longer time. I thought, but they started pulling it up, I think.
Yes.
Like the next day or 2 days later.
I don't know
you
what
weren't
that,
part of that.
Yeah, I wasn't part of that.
That actually that makes more sense because like I thought you were part of like the pulling it up and everything else as well.
So after we put the pavers in, we were.
So that's pretty much it. I mean, he talks a little bit more here. There's no real juicy details, no more juicy details. But, I do think that obviously the biggest questions probably go to the governor at this point, the FBI. Like, were they really And I have no doubt that they were, but it's like, why? Why was there this impetus to do this so quickly? And why cement over it? That's who I have questions for. I guess I also would have questions for, the groundskeepers who dug out the 10-inch bed for the cement to be laid upon. What did they see? Did they see anything? What's going on with that? Where did they put that 10 inches of soil and grass that they dug up? I mean, obviously, that's like crime scene material. There was blood. There was maybe other stuff there. Where did that go? That's who I have my questions for, right? For this guy, I mean, I don't really have a lot of questions for. He got to a scene that was already dug up. He put cement down. Okay, what are you going to ask him, right? But I definitely would love to hear those questions asked the governor. Obviously, we don't have a free press in America. We have a cucked press. We have a Zionist press. They will never in a million years ask any of those questions to any elected official in the state of Utah or any official that they may find walking in the streets of D.C. who work for the FBI. Never going to happen. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.